How you doing, guys? Welcome to ZukaTube. In today's episode, I'll be reviewing a movie called Run, Hide, Fight. This came out January 14th of this year, and I've been really excited to review this. I've been a little bit kneecapped with the previous podcast I was on, but now I have the freedom to kind of express myself and talk about certain movies without any restrictions, you know, without getting kicked under the table kind of deal and shunned for having any kind of opinion beyond, you know, one specific aisle, right? So shout out to Daily Wire for putting out this movie. I'm a subscriber here. You sometimes may see my little leftist tears tumbler here in the corner when I'm drinking my coffee, but they put out this movie, and man, this is a really cool movie. This is kind of their first break into the movie entertainment and TV entertainment kind of aspect of their whole platform. But let me just read the summary here, right? It's 17-year-old Zoe Hull uses her wits, survival skills, and compassion to fight for her life and those of her fellow classmates against a group of live streaming school shooters. Yes, this is a school shooting-based movie. It is an action movie. It is not like a horror or thriller necessarily, but definitely warning ahead that there is a little bit of obviously intense school shooting related violence, and obviously if this is something that's a little uneasy for people, this is something you might want to be a little careful getting into at first. But I reassure you, this is a strictly very heroic movie. It's an action movie. It's intense, it's emotional, but definitely don't steer your way away from it. Definitely check this one out, especially if you're into that kind of young heroic kid kind of taking matters into their own and coming of their own kind of thing, growing up and just every kind of aspect of a kid hero kind of movie. I feel well, not really, she's 17, but you know what I mean, right? I'll play this trailer. I'm going to give you a little play-by-play in my review, and then we'll go into a spoiler section. We'll have clips and all that stuff as well, right? But here we go. Here's the trailer. I just saw this trailer the other day, and I was like, man, I gotta record a review for this now that I have the opportunity.
You're doing really good out there, kid.
Hunting with her dad,
Deer, we're gonna be
ex-military guy.
On a day's work.
I think we need to see somebody again.
And by we, you mean me?
No, I mean us. Hey, that look in your eye. Guys in my unit had that look.
Maybe there's a brochure you can hand me so I can go?
Now, Thomas Jane, right? The father, Todd Hull, in this. He, you might know him from the Punisher movie way back and everything. Fantastic, man. He does a great job.
Is he doing something completely weird? Senior prank day. But we'll see all
It's her
kinds
friend
of dumb
Lewis.
stuff today. Swim captain.
He's great.
Thai food delivered to class, and Becky Vaughn will set up her home.
He's put in a real predicament in this movie, and he's really great character. Boom, bam, yeah. High school's not real, huh? Damn, things are going
Okay,
crazy.
we are in charge now, so please pull out whichever app you use to do live streaming video. Get them up and running and point it at me. Now! Get down on the ground!
And these kids that are coming in for this school shooting situation, they totally understand, you know, what the school has told them about these situations, so they take advantage of that. Look, and Zoe, man, she's taking matters into her own hands. She was lucky enough to be in the bathroom, so she's running, she's hiding, she's making her way through this school. But as you can see, it doesn't go that well for everybody.
You should be ashamed.
Oh.
Very disturbing news out of Vernon Central High School.
Oh, the dad, man, Todd, he ain't playing. You see him, he's cleaning that deer, and he hears the news. But then Zoe, she's reflecting too in the moment of this trauma.
Is it safe to say that
look at
this
her,
might be our
guardian angel.
Do you want more people to die?
That's the last thing I want.
This girl, Isabel May, fantastic job. This girl does a fantastic job. Great actress.
Isn't it ironic that after all your hard work,
This is a great line.
people aren't gonna remember you?
No?
They're gonna remember me.
Yes. So I love the trailer, like, and that's what really sparked me to go in and review this movie now that I finally have the freedom to do so, right? And so like I said, this came out January 14th, and this was just like a really interesting kind of take on a very traumatic kind of situation where you only see, like, you'll see Forensic Files or CSI or a documentary or some kind of situation where they'll have a school shooting and it's after the fact. You're seeing after the fact. You're seeing the investigation. You're seeing the fallout, the mourning, interviews with victims, interviews with people that were on the scene and their perspective. This is in-moment situation, and it's not just a negative, like, situation the whole time. There is someone who does kind of, become a very courageous, brave person and takes matters into their own hands and decides they're not going to die today. And man, is that really driven so strong in this movie and done so well. Like, the emotion of each character and the way they develop certain characters is very good. You see the main school shooters, they are developed very well in a sense that they have their own little hierarchy going on. They have the leader and the other kids. They reflect on how they grew up, how the kids perceived them in the school, and then how they comforted each other and had their own sense of belonging with each other among those kind of problems, and being so different, because you do notice that a couple of these kids are like, the shooters are suffering some severe mental illness. The one kid hears a lot of voices. He's having a lot of problems and almost has a weird infatuation with the leader, or maybe love for the leader or whatever. But they do a really good job of kind of playing off of the way that their characters are developed and how they take advantage of this situation. Now, in a school shooting, they have plenty of drills. Growing up, you watch all of the horror story stuff about it, the whole deal. You see things on the news about stuff like that, and they always have the drills, the public things that you can, watch to give you a better understanding of how to handle a situation like that. Well, these kids understand that, and they're not fucking stupid. And they're going to take that situation and they're going to say, okay, well, if we're going to do this, they're going to do this, 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 and this. They tell us all the time. How do we get around that? And they do a lot of diversions. They do a lot of different things to slow down the process. You see, they also are live streaming in a sense, but they are also not playing dumb. They're shutting off other ways of communication. These kids, the one thing you don't see in the trailer is that they go out of their way to set explosives all throughout outskirts of the town outside of the school's property. They want to slow down and constrict the amount of police presence while still being able to control as much of the inside of the building as humanly possible. And they're not stupid. They know these kids are going to be locked in these rooms. They know they're going to be on lockdown procedures. So they know exactly how to attack the scenario. And you see the main character, Zoe, when she gets trapped in this bathroom and sees what's going down and sees people die right in front of her, and she decides she's going to run. She knows pretty much that they have a general aspect of not only the kids and what the kids might do, but they understand what a school shooting might entail security wise, and she's really starting to panic and gets her escape. And this beginning scene here of her getting her escape that they show in the trailer is just really a really neat kind of crafty idea. And I mean, it is typical that you see her crawl up in the vents.
Well, you just might survive. Okay, we are in charge now, so please just do as we say, quickly and without question, or else, well, Hey, Roy. How you doing? Normally.
Now you see this where they're obviously talking to students they know, they grew up with, people that may have bullied them or harassed them.
Who's the fact now, man? I was just messing with him. Okay?
He disrespected you.
Look at me. We need to keep our eyes on the prize. Okay, we don't have time for small kills, please. Okay? Thank
down on the ground!
Okay.
Any more friends back there?
Run.
Now you heard that voice that just said run. Now I'm going to talk about that in 1 second after we get through this little clip here. We got just a couple more seconds. But there is an interesting thing because, yes, this character, Zoe, she is by herself the whole time. She is making these decisions pretty much by herself the majority of the movie. And, Lewis. He's like, oh, shit, man, she's in the bathroom. What am I going to do? I feel bad for him, man, because he's really conflicted this whole time, and he has to make a decision that does a lot of good for the scenario, but it's still a hard decision to make, you know? So, okay, so that moment I said when you hear her say the run part and nobody's saying it, that's her mother, right, speaking to her. Now, in the beginning, you see that she's on a hunt, and she's going through a mourning kind of phase because her mother had just passed away, and the father still takes her out. They do these things together. Yeah, she's getting a little cold, and he recommends that they, maybe see somebody or something because she's getting a little unstable and not taking it well, but she has these moments of reflection where she's talking to her mother, like basically hearing her voice or talking to herself or whatever. And it's a good way to break up certain scenarios to either give you a more lighthearted, kind of hopeful moment, or to bring things down into a more dark, kind of conflicting moment where she has to really make a serious decision. And as the movie progresses and as Zoe overcomes certain things, you see that voice of her mother in her head that she's talking to also progress out of the negative and dark memories she has of her into more and more positive thoughts of her mother. So like it's real interesting as a key indicator of the progression of the film and her personal character as well, is to watch the reflection of the mother figure that she's talking to, because Zoe is clearly suffering a slight bit of maybe a mental illness or something like that, but it isn't necessarily blocking her from overcoming this life-threatening scenario. So let me play this clip. That's her mother there. Now this is right after the hunt.
Mom,
Ask
You have
her about
anyone
prom.
in your sights?
I mean it. Stop.
Stop what?
See, but then Dad comes in and no one's there.
Just talking to a fly.
So with all these aspects being thrown into the mix, right? And you see obviously in the trailer that she goes, she runs and all that, and then she gets out of the school and she decides things just snap and she's like, no, I'm going back in. I'm going to try to do my best to save these people. This is not going to happen on my watch. And that's when things get even more gnarly. I mean, things definitely get haywire even before that. But when that happens, shit breaks loose and it gets really intense. And man, is it really good. It's very realistic. They do a really good job of all of this. And they do show that this is a person who needs to come down to earth and realize her lane in this whole scenario. Like, these are dudes who have planned this for a long time. They're armed. They had trapped people in a lot of situations. Kids are young. They're vulnerable. They're not thinking straight. On top of that, she is a young woman. The one of these guys is a very large grown teen, and probably, very, very strong and mentally unstable on top of it. And she has to adapt accordingly to get through these scenarios. And man, they do a great job. I mean, you really feel for this character. You feel for the other characters as well. Even the shooters, when they bring certain characters down to earth and show you what's wrong with these people. And you kind of start to have all kinds of different moments of maybe deep thought or reflection on kind of maybe people you have heard about or seen in your life. You know what I mean? And it's really good. I enjoyed the way they do everything on the emotional aspect as well as the physical aspect. This movie is action-packed. This girl, Isabel May, that plays Zoe Hull, does an amazing job. Like I said, in the one part, her friend Lewis is an amazing character as well. The dynamic they have together is really good. And on top of it, he's in a conflicting situation where he's like a voice of reason. He's a very intelligent dude. He's trying to calm the situation down, but he's a super passive dude. And normally you would consider this dude kind of like a very like kind of beta male ass dude, you know. And he definitely takes a moment and complies in a sense where he becomes like their cameraman, but he's not stupid, and he does try to do his best to delay certain scenarios, to get information out there, to do what he can. And he's not just, you know, submitting to these people. Like they do show a lot of really, really hopeful qualities of these young kids where they can really turn scenarios around, you know, and protect themselves and each other. So I'm going to give this movie like a solid 8.5. I mean, this movie is really, really good. The one thing that, you know what, actually, no, I'm going to give this movie like a solid 9, you know, because I would say overall, like, I don't really have any cons I can give you right off the bat that I'm thinking of that, like, oh man, like I really enjoyed this movie. Like, this is a really good, it's an action movie. It's intense. It's very dramatic. But there is that great heroic tale in it as well. And man, I just watching it now for the second time, especially now that I saw that trailer, and I was like, man, I got to go back and watch it, especially because I'm always watching, you know, Daily Wire. I keep up to date with everything they're got going on. But whew, man, really good and thoroughly enjoyable. And especially, I really love the father, Thomas Jane, in that as well. And I like the character Lewis as well. They're just really good characters. You really feel for them and you root for them the whole time in this movie. And I really recommend this movie to anybody who would considering maybe signing up and checking this movie out. It streams on their app. And I don't know if you have to be like a subscriber. I think you have to be a subscriber to watch the movie. But man, this is like really awesome, and I can't wait to see what else they have in the future. Now let's get into a little spoiler section here. Spoilers. Spoil. All right. So right now, I didn't want to talk too much about what happens to necessarily the shooters or anything like that, but obviously you know by watching that trailer that she wrecks it, that she's going in there and taking these people down one by one, and she doesn't necessarily succeed 100%. I mean, she takes a lot of damage. There are people that do try to make certain decisions to either help her or not help her, and it ends badly for some people. But, you know, people do what they feel they have to do in this scenario, and she does a very good job. And there are moments where she's kind of vulnerable, where you see like the father, like in the scene where he hears what's going on, and he suits up and he grabs his rifle and he shows up on the scene, and he doesn't know if he's going to have to do anything, but he knows damn well that if shit goes down to a degree and he can't provide the help that he feels like he can for his kid outside of there or those other kids, that he's going to do what he can, and he does it. And my dude goes out and circles the property and finds a vantage point while watching these live feeds, and takes advantage of the fact that there's these live feeds, and, you know, and goes and helps. And you see at one point, you know, when Zoe, she has to take down one of the first people, which is the one girl in this. Man, it's an intense situation, and especially when she encounters her before, when she's hiding from her, and the kind of cruel and awful person that this woman is, and when she finally has to have that moment and kill this person. Man, is it crazy. Like, let me just play this clip here.
If anyone's in there, you shouldn't hide in the rooms. They're gonna come looking for you.
Are you a staff member?
See, she's warning them. She's like, they know you're going to be locked in the rooms. They know what lockdown is.
I think they wanted a lockdown. It makes it easier to round everyone up that way. Break a window. Get out if you can.
We're not supposed to leave until the office announces that it's over.
Understand. There is no office anymore.
Damn. See that? She takes a shot to the leg. See, look at the mother, always like in these moments. She's either helping her or giving her a decision to make, or maybe like giving her an upbeat moment. And this is senior prank day. So when you see situations like this plays to her advantage because of the fact that, like, you know, these kids messed up a bunch of stuff in the school. People understand that they could take advantage of this, and people would just think, oh, there could be a prank going on. But these two girls, they're fighting. They're going at it. Damn. Intense, right? And obviously, like, that's really tough for her. Like, you see in the actual movie, like, she starts throwing up, the whole deal. Like, obviously, every situation isn't taken lightly at all. And it's not just like a passing moment. You see her going through moments where she's like, I don't think I can do this. Like, and, you know, that voice of reason comes in, or a moment where she sees something happen to someone else and it snaps her out of it. And she's like, no way, I'm continuing to march forward. And man, is that awesome. And it brings me to the point where I had said before, like, she doesn't do necessarily well in all situations. She really, like, in this situation, she got shot in the leg. Like, she gets really beat up. Certain people lose their life. And at one point, one of the guys gets after her, and it's the bigger guy who hears a lot of voices and stuff. And you could tell this dude is a lot bigger and stronger than her and is beating the hell out of her. And she's not going to make it, basically. And like I said with the father, when he came in clutch and he's watching these feeds and watching what's happening, he took that opportunity and he takes the kid out and stuff like that. And when everybody's narrowed down to nobody left besides basically the leader, and he still has at least like his explosives and stuff like that, and can really, you know, still kind of do a lot of damage here, her message to him that they show in that trailer is just such an epic message, and it really makes you just root for the character. And at that point, you're like, fuck yeah, dude, get it, you know, fuck that dude up, screw these people, you know. Man, this guy Tristan does a fantastic job at acting in this. Like, I saw him in a trailer for, I guess, the new Gossip Girl movie or show or something as well. So he's making his moves.
You won't respond. Can I assume you're watching my stream?
I mean, look, she's like damn near Rambo by the end of this, man. She's barely walking right because of her legs still. Like, she's all beat up. She got a gun on her. You can see her face is a little beat up because she got popped by that dude.
Fucking idea who you're dealing with.
You know, you're right. You actually are starting to slip my mind. I mean, isn't it ironic that after all your goddamn hard work, people aren't gonna remember you?
Here it is.
No. They're gonna remember me.
Whoo! Damn, that's that shit right there. What a great message when everything is so, like, intense, you know? And that just makes you root for her even more at that point. And at the end, when he thinks he kind of gets away and does a little decoy and kills another kid and steams off, when she's pulled out of there and everybody's pulled out of there and her friend's safe and all that, and her dad gets arrested because as soon as he shoots through the window and kills one of the kids, he just looks at her through the window, gives her the nod, puts his hands up casually, and he's like, whatever, dude, take me. I don't give a fuck. I took that kid out. I did what I had to do. And man, like, you root for him the whole time, and you feel that when he looks at her. And like, then when this happens and she starts to put some things together towards the end about what the guy's doing, the leader there, Tristan, she thinks things come into play that there was a decoy and he's still alive. And she sees him kind of leading off into the woods afterwards, and she gets her dad's gun and she asks him, like, where's the gun? And he just kind of shuns for a second, but he understands. He's like, we got to finish this. And him coming to terms after seeing what his daughter did for all these people, and him doing what he has to do for his daughter and for all these people, for him to still in that moment understand that she took these matters into her own hands, and to trust her and be like, you know what? You need that rifle. I understand. Let's do what you got to do. And she goes and gets that last moment and takes him out when he thinks he's got it and he thinks he took that money and ran, that he had stashed, and he was going to get out of there clean and get away with this whole thing. Oh my God, it's awesome. And then it brings back to that moment where in the beginning where the deer, they have to kill this deer. The deer's not dead after they shot it, and she kind of just puts it out of its misery with a rock in this brutal fashion and startles the father a little bit. She decides to take his advice and take that route from a different angle and just leave him there kind of to suffer. And she's like, well, you know, is it cruel to let you suffer? You know, like, is it cruel after what you've done? You know what I mean? And man, like, she gets that one last jab in, and you feel satisfied at the end of this movie that she really did what she had to do and she overcame this. And you cheer for this chick and her friend, Lewis. You cheer for him. You cheer for the father. I mean, there's so many people that you feel for and you feel so relieved for by the end of this movie. Man, what a great movie to watch. Again, 9 out of 10, because I really don't have many complaints at all about this movie. The only thing I could say is that there was a couple scenes, like, you know, with the mother and stuff, that were a little slow and they mellow out at points, and there's a little bit of emotion to it. And if that kind of takes you out of it at some points, because yes, she is talking to someone that's not there, then maybe I can see that, you know, taking you out of that action back and forth and getting that adrenaline back down a little for you. But man, this is a really good movie, and I highly recommend it. So, you know, and again, I recommend signing up, you know, for Daily Wire and checking this out. This is fantastic, and I can't wait to see what else they do. ZukaTube out.
Feel like they tracking me. Yo, let me get on one. Nah, go get your tracks up. Homie, can I steal some? Homie, you can't stack up. My brother, can you shout me? You're barking up the wrong tree. My dog, why do you doubt me? Cause you can't do shit without me.
Real like the radio and never play it, but that's cool. The enemy's supposed to hate it.